rigged it? As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom? It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet. El Internet, folks. Anyway, folks, that was created by whom? We the people now control by the billionaires, getting more and more powerful each time because, again, we have allowed it because we have done quite a bit. We have our star back today. We'll talk to him after the studio, but he's back in town, El Señor Neil Aquino. But without further ado, let's go to the studio with El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Yay! Neil is back.
Welcome
back.
Neil is back.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Visited Mom. She's doing good.
That's a good thing. Well, good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday morning at the radio, the 3rd of July. The big, beautiful bill is supposed to be sitting on Trump's desk for a signature on the historic 4th of July, which is almost kind of ironic because it's bringing back slavery and the monarchy. So it's like on the 4th of July, this is Independence Day from that, so he wants to enslave us again. I have been writing to my useless MAGA congressman, Wesley Hunt, saying, do not sign this bill. Do not sign this bill. Do not support this for all the good it's going to get. So what do I get back? Crickets.
Yep.
So, Mr. Hunt, I will be voting against you in this next election. So there we go. Jack, you got a whole 3/4 of a page of wisdom here, which is
bad luck.
Which mostly is probably wiser than me. So let's go ahead and get to it.
Well, this is your storyline today. Trump must think out. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. I'm doing just fine, sir.
All right. Trump must think he's some kind of Robin Hood, but he's got it mixed up, turned around back to front. He's robbing from the poor to give to the rich. Edward Luce's Financial Times article, Donald Trump's big, beautiful act of self-harm, shows that he is cutting off his nose to spite his face as the bill will hurt his own constituents of MAGA along with the rest of America and himself. Andrea Ocasio-Cortez uses the no tax on tips scam to show why the big, beautiful bill is a deal with the devil where the taxes are going to get raised on the working class, keeping with the billionaires' modus operandi, privatize the profits and socialize the costs. I guess we can start calling Trump Robin the Hood.
That is, Robin wow. Great minds think alike. You know what is so funny, Jack? As you mentioned Robin Hood and what he's doing, in my head I said, it's not Robin Hood, he's Robin the Hood. And ironically, you came up with that, right? Oh, wow. Good minds think alike, Brother Jack.
Well, we were on the same wavelength, I guess.
Yes, we were communicated with that kind of, hey, anyway. So what's up, guys? All good in the studio?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
Tin cans and string are holding up. Last night we were off the air for just a little while. They had to replace some tower lights.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the transmitter last night and kind of hung out there for a little while they were replacing tower lights. And they said, well, this is going to take us longer than we thought. So go home. We'll turn the transmitter back on when we're done. And they did. So
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Did they have to use a helicopter or did somebody have to climb that real long, that long ladder?
It's an 850-foot tower, so they climbed it. And
Wow.
a couple of young, skinny guys, I said, please be careful, man. Because they're so thin, they would probably just float down. But you don't want to fall off of a tower. That would be bad.
That would be terrible.
They keep themselves tied off.
Oh yeah. They're
every
very
step
careful
that-
about it.
yes.
There's a
They know
method
how
to it.
climb.
Well,
Me, I climb up on a ladder and I'm like, ooh.
Shouldn't be up here.
That's right. That's what I get
Well,
Jack to do.
all right, man. Anyway, folks, look, we got a great show for you today. First of all, I want to welcome Margaret Ryan. How you doing, Margaret? She says, morning from Eastern West Virginia. I'm Eastern Washington State, just north of Spokane. Oh, yeah. And we have Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Melanie, I've been missing you on 3 o'clock. How you doing, sister? From Barcelona, Spain. And of course, we have Jennifer Hunter, Don Wren, Stephen Pryor, Swanala Schomperhen. By the way, folks, remember that we got a delay in the amount in people on the screen. Anyway, Neil Aquino is here with us. Look, the big bad bill is going to be passed likely this morning. And I know a whole lot of people are going to feel that way. We've been fighting, but this bill is still going through. For those of you who heard my soliloquy yesterday, I hope you take that to heart. Democracy is a fight that is always ongoing. And you always have these points in time, including here in the United States, where we fall backwards for a while. It's what we do going forward. Welcome aboard, John A. Davis from Minneapolis, and thank you for your great support, my brother. Let me just say this, folks. It's important that we keep our head on. It's important that we don't allow that false depression well, I shouldn't say false depression. That's naive of me. To allow that depression to sink in and remember that we are all family and together we work for solutions and we will have setbacks, but we will overcome them over time. My brother is back from his, I'm going to call it his active vacation, where he has a lot to talk about. Brother Neil Aquino, one of my heroes and the founder of the Houston Democracy Project. Thank you so kindly for being with us, my brother.
Great. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, and good morning, global audience. And I'm reading the Axios newsletter this morning. The polling and strategy firm J.L. Powers asked 1,000 voters if they support or oppose replacing the current president with a king. 19%, so a 4th of July poll, 19% of Americans supported a king, including 1 in 3 of 18 to 29-year-olds. 48% were opposed to a king. So just 48% were opposed to a king, and 33% weren't certain. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do, and it speaks to how our democratic systems are not producing outcomes that give anyone confidence that so many people are open to it, despite all the things we're taught or used to be taught. I don't know. I guess we're taught now Christ is king in our schools, or they come at you and say you're woke. But I was in Cincinnati over the last week and a half, and I'm glad to be back.
Well, you have quite a few stories from Cincinnati that I want to ping pong off of after you've told your experience, because it actually touched me what you spoke about, what occurred out there. So why don't you start it, my brother?
Well, we were McBurdo and I. We sort of prepare for what we're going to say, what we're going to talk about before the show goes on, and a Houston Democracy blog post I wanted to feature, and it will segue into what Egberto was talking about, is how there are good people everywhere. So we're going to talk about some of the not so good people or challenged people today as well. On the 4th of July, the Montgomery County Democratic Party in Montgomery County is holding the first annual Montgomery County Lefties Independence Day celebration at Lake Conroe Beach Park. And that is noon to the fireworks in the evening. And I also highlight an event, and so that's Montgomery County, very conservative. And so we had a Spokane. I think lots of parts of Eastern Washington are very very conservative in contrast to Seattle. So this is wherever you live. This is the case as well, or in your state. And then at Veterans Park in Angleton, and of course, we're cutting huge amounts. I saw a CNN story a few days ago about tremendous cuts to the Veterans Administration, the hospitals, destroying morale. But at Veterans Park in Angleton, there's a building community rally at noon where I'm a speaker. The Houston Democracy Project is a speaker. State Representative Vicki Goodwin, I'm sorry, I forget where she's from, but who intends to run for lieutenant governor, is a speaker. And then there are local speakers. I know there's a local elected official from the city of Iowa Colony. If you've ever visited there, I've been there. And those are good people, and they face some challenges. So what I was getting at is that there are good people everywhere, and this fight needs to not just be in the center cities. There were great 50501 no kings. We just saw that half the people are open to a king. In Katy, League City, Jersey Village, Kingwood, Conroe, and Huntsville. So locals will know where those places are. And if you're, just imagine if you're outside the area, your suburban cities in neighboring counties, there were really large, well-attended anti-Trump, pro-democracy rallies in those cities. And you can organize one yourself. The next protest or next action is when you organize it. The First Amendment is your permit. I also talk about in the post, in the city, there's a weekly Social Security protest at a Social Security office, although it's not tomorrow. There isn't one tomorrow, at 13,302 Westheimer. And this is, there's a lot of young black and brown motorists who go by us. Most of the crowd is 60-something, 70-something, 80-something white folks, though not exclusively. And we get such a great response. And every time I get this great response, you really wish that our local political establishment had a real interest in harnessing that energy. So the theme of this post that I made yesterday at the Houston Democracy Project blog, there are good people everywhere. They are out in the suburbs. They are out, and they need to see us. We need them, and they need us. And then also at the same time in our urban cities and counties, but outside the center loop, outside the trendier areas, there are so many decent people who just really go uncounted by the Democrats who should be registering them. And so we were talking. Egberto and I were talking about that, and we were also in Cincinnati. I attended a protest. So there was a series of protests. The 50501 people did a series of protests along Route 50. And so Route 50 goes from California to wherever it ends up on the East Coast. And there's a portion of Route 50 that goes through Cincinnati, River Road, Route 50. And we were in a neighborhood called Saddamsville, which is a western Cincinnati neighborhood, about 15 miles from the Indiana line, and near the border of a community called Delhi Township. So, and this is where Pete Rose grew up. If you follow baseball, Pete Rose grew up in this neighborhood, and he wasn't such a nice person, frankly. And people take pride in him, but he let the city down over and over. And frequently, I'm part of a weekly protest at Senator Cornyn's office every Tuesday, 11:30 to 1, 5300 Memorial Drive. And the reactions are almost are more positive than negative. And that, in fact, was the case at the protest I'm referencing on River Road. And this is a predominantly Republican area. Cincinnati is a very, very Democratic city, 9-0 Democratic City Council. In fact, I went by, I was going down William Howard Taft Road in Cincinnati, which is near the Art Museum. And that's where J.D. Vance lives. So you had to turn around. So J.D. Vance, he doesn't live in rural Ohio or in farm area Ohio. He and Mrs. Vance live in a mile from the Art Museum and the Playhouse in a fully integrated Democratic neighborhood. You'd think he'd be out there, but that's not where he finds the best place to live for him and his family. It's right in the middle of the center city. And so when I protest with my comrades out in at Memorial and Dietering for the Cornyn protest, we get Republicans. They give you the finger. They yell at you. Um, but it's a little bit more of an affluent crew. It's a little bit more of an affluent crew. They got the giant pickups. They're in the BMW. They're in the Tesla. Although plenty of people in those cars praise you. You never know. You never know. You never know. But boy, some of these folks in Cincinnati who were extolling Trump's virtues and going Trump, Trump, Trump. One lady stopped her car and she said, "You should be lucky. You should feel lucky. Donald Trump is your president." And boy, some of these folks did not look prosperous, right? I'm not poor shaming them. That's fine. That's fine. But boy, they're losing their health insurance. Their Social Security is in jeopardy. They're transferring this wealth to billionaires, and these are some of just the meanest. And I like Egberto's philosophy. We got to look for the good side. There's good, but boy, these are some mean people. And I don't always encounter them. They were right out of Central Casting. If you were to make a caricature of the Trump voter facing economic challenges, but so upshot of my appreciate the time to talk for a few minutes. Upshot is there are good folks everywhere. They are all around in Montgomery County, Galveston County, Brazoria County, wherever you live. We have our national and global audience. There are good folks everywhere. And then there are the folks who do fit the profile of seemingly broke as could be, but just loving this guy who's taking their health insurance and giving the money to the rich.
Um, Neil, first of all, thank you for that. It's never happening on Substack says. Thank you, Neil, for your dedication, which absolutely we all thank you for the dedication. You're all over, like I tell people all of the times, you're all over the not only here in Houston but around the country doing
Great,
your
thank you.
thing. Recently, you were in Washington D.C. and as usual, always using the opportunity to do your craft, if you will. Now, uh, you kind of name checked me there as being a being too damn good to what many of us would call the opposition. Now,
No,
I
not
agree.
not too good.
No, no, I know.
I didn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know I
yeah,
read you and I have to be this way, my brother, and I want to say this because it's
yeah.
important because I learned a lot that your experience in Cincinnati is so true, and we have some of that. Well, a lot of that here if you go into certain places as well. But I'm going to tell you, as you were talking, as you're giving your soliloquy about what's happening in our country, I am watching Hakeem Jeffries in the well in
Sure.
Congress, given a several hour long speech, and it is just that a speech about what needs to be done and how bad this bill is that the Republicans are doing. And some of the calls that we get from the right here, we have folks that are, and I say this with respect, but it shows how gullible they have allowed themselves to become in believing the false narrative that they get from the right as opposed to the qualified truth that we give here and you give on your blog and many others give. They have been made. There's a psychology that was used against these people that makes you and I and Jack and Howard and those great callers we get a simple wall that nothing comes out of there. They have no faith in what we're saying because they're so psychologically enthralled with what the right has done to them. And before I get started with my own soliloquy here, I want to say this. Um, there was a whole lot of work done. When the Powell memo came out, which was written by Lewis Powell of a Supreme Court, to be a Democrat that was ascended by Richard Nixon to the Supreme Court, it kind of tells you when people say all that these are all the same, that the two parties are the same. That's not true in policy, but there's a lot of truth in that in action. Again, Lewis Powell, a Democrat, worked for the Chamber of Commerce, was a lawyer to the Chamber of Commerce, and became Supreme Court Justice placed by Nixon. Wrote the Powell Manifesto, the Powell Memo, the Powell Letter. That was one of the genesis of what we're seeing here. And I want everybody to understand this, because those people that Neil spoke about, broke people, poor people, they don't have a pot to you know what in. But they come out when Neil is on the street corner saying, I am here to protest in order for policies to be affected that support you. Poor person in that car, poor person that is having a hard time, poor person that is being screwed. I am here for you. And that poor person looked back at Neil and says, you should be glad Trump is in office. How does that happen? That doesn't happen in a vacuum. All of us are human beings. The thing about it is, all of us have a psychology within. And the Powell Memo, it took them energy and time, psychological research, think tanks, to come out with policies or come out with frameworks that convince those people in middle America, convince those people in those edges of your neighborhood not to listen to Neil, not to listen to me, not to listen to those who are looking out for your interests, because the first thing they worked on is to make sure people lost their respect for you. You look at our government by design, government by purported, our Constitution said, we the people of the United States, we are the government. Yet they magically was able to first demonize the government and make you believe the government is that third party, that third thing, that other thing, not you. Because remember, if you say government is bad, if government is this, government is that, you are actually saying you are bad, you are no good, you are dumb. But that is what the Powell Memo instituted through their think tanks. You must have a fear that government cannot be good. A government that you elected, but somehow a corporation that is by definition an autocracy, because a corporation has an unelected president, an unelected board, and unelected all these things, and then they work with your government, we the people, right, to go ahead and do things to support them. Hey, the stock market today is likely going to go up because in the short term, this bill is going to be great. 21% taxes for corporations as opposed to 38%, while you are going to pay 37% depending on how much you make. Wow, they're getting a windfall. Wow, as soon as this bill is signed, Meta will qualify for a 15% tax write-off on all their research. I told you that they don't take chances, they don't take risks. But you don't know that. That person that flipped off Neil in Cincinnati or in that area, they don't know that. They don't know that they're driving that crappy car and they don't have health insurance because Meta had to get that $15 billion. They don't know that. They don't know that because those corporations are fixed at 21% now, that Medicaid that their son or daughter who's invalid, has a problem, isn't going to get. They don't know that. And why don't they know all of this? They've lost faith in MSNBC. They've lost faith in all these other stations that try to play the middle, while Fox News, far right, tell them about wokeism and all these other things. That's what they hear. That's who they believe. Why am I nice to folks? Why am I trying to bring everybody in? Because The truth of the matter is, while Neil is on the street by his lonesome, I'm meaning with his crew, of course. I know you with your crew. I get it.
Right.
I get.
We had a crew
I
in
get.
Cincinnati too. Yep.
No, I get it. I
Yep.
get it. But I'm
Yep.
trying to make a point here. Um, you know, he doesn't have the backing of MSNBC. He doesn't have the backing of Hakeem Jeffries. He doesn't have the backing of the Senator Schumer. Because you know how we know that? Somebody as skilled as Gozar Mandami can't get the support of Schumer, can't get the support of Hakeem Jeffries. When Mandami went into communities who voted for Trump in New York, and at the same time they voted for Trump as well as AOC, and he goes and says, "Why did you make that leap? Why?" He's out there talking to these people, right? And he said, "What does it take for me to earn your vote back?" And they centralize on a message of affordability, something that that woman in Cincinnati who flipped off Neil may want to hear if she believed what she was hearing. And evidently a lot believe Mandami. But, and I'm coming back to you in a second, Neil, but I want to finish this. But I tell you who I blame. And a lot of my brothers and sisters on the Democratic side, not the lefty side, not the Neil Aquino side of things, but the damn Democratic establishment. There's a particular elected official. She is supposed to be one of us. And I asked her when she got into the Senate, I said, "Are we now, young person, are we going to go into the Yoakum, Texases and the rural areas? And because some of these areas border some of these areas, are we going to go in there and make our case? Treat these people, even as they're spitting on us, treat them with a little bit of respect to show them that everything they hear about us, we don't have the horns, we don't have the cruels, we don't have these things. We're actually nice people." And I've given the story about speaking to a Republican, more than one Republican in over here, and having a conversation not based on originally on politics, just based on things that we want. And the person having that conversation, then to find out that personally I'm a lefty, was so shocked because they are so programmed to believe that those of us working for policies for them, which she agreed with as well, that somehow they didn't realize that would have been coming out of somebody like me or somebody like Neil, etc., because we are the real ones that are supporting them. The Democratic establishment has failed many of those people in the middle of the country, because as we have allowed the plutocracy to grow, whether it was under Nixon, whether it was under Obama, whether it was under Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy also did some deregulation on the airlines, whether it was under Clinton was the triangulation, and the welfare as we know it is gone. We we always, you have Democrats, Neil, that talk to you, and those Democrats tell you, "Hold on a bit, Neil. Hold on. Don't be so radical, Neil. Don't be so radical, Neil. Let's do this. Your time will come. The time of those. You ask, why are some black men jumping to the Republican Party? Why are some Latinos jumping to the Republican Party? Right now, they're learning that that was a bad move, but they were told. After all, we weren't there. We weren't in their space 24/7 as Trump and these other people were. And I saw that. I saw how these guys are everywhere. I saw how they're in Kingwood. I saw how they're in no name Montgomery County doing their thing, as Neil and his cohorts and the Cindy Hendricksons in Kingwood, and the new lady you met in, I think it was up in the North Harris County. Folks, we have to do better. Thank God for guys like Neil and those that are still putting their body out there. But if the Democratic Party wants to win back people, even as a poor person that doesn't have a pot to do what in, there's a hell of a lot of work to do. Neil, sorry for that long soliloquy, but I needed to get that out. Go ahead, brother.
No, that's great. I'll just say briefly, the Democrats, if they would just, Cincinnati has a 9-0 Democratic City Council. There's 330,000 people. They could have, those 9 Democrats could have met, divided the city, gone out, and just explained the bill. You could be moderate. You could be the most, I don't even know who those 9 Democrats are, but they could have just gone out and done that. I'm poking around Facebook this morning. My state senator, Molly Cook, she makes a post this morning, 8 hours ago, about the bill. 8 hours.
What did she
Where
say
was your
before?
argument?
What
I
was
don't.
happening before that?
I never heard a word from her about the bill. She makes her first post about it. This is dated 8 hours ago. This is so midnight, 10 p.m. Um, where where was the organizing? Where was the organizing? Where was the informing? We have they're abducting people off the street. You could be sent to the alligator Auschwitz. I saw someone refer to it as
Yeah,
alligator Auschwitz.
I love that. Yeah.
Um, South Sudan, bless those people over there, okay? But I don't want anyone to be sent there. And or the torture prison in El Salvador. I had read in Axios, I'll reference Axios a second time because that's where I'd read it, that there's substantial deportations going on in Harris County. So we have state representatives, Armando Wally, Senator Alvarado, Marianne Perez. They should be out informing people, Councilman Joaquin Martinez, and not just, of course, Latinos. This is Asians. I saw a story about an Iranian woman who thought she was safe. She came over here at age 3, but after the
Yes.
bombing, she might be part of a sleeper cell. But of course, the report, they had voted for Trump. This was in California. They still supported Mr. Trump. Still support him after. But our Democrats, so the focus on progressivism is important. But I'll tell you, our Democrats could be out there across the ideological spectrum of the Democratic Party, centrist to the left. They could just be out there informing people, telling people. Every elected official takes an oath to the Constitution. So everything that's going on is directly relevant to the duties of every single elected official, and it's really it's disappointing. And when I saw my state senator Molly Cook, who used a lot of volunteer energy and spoke about herself as an organizer, I'm sort of singling out her this morning, but I just was so deeply frustrated to see the first time you post about this is 8 hours ago. 8 hours ago. This has been going on for months.
Neil, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. When you create when there's a vacuum, that vacuum is filled with whomever wants to
Yeah.
fill it. And what the establishment Democratic Party has done are 2 things: alienate the progressive base of the Democratic Party, and 2, not fill the space. Again, it's a two-coast story, and it's a truth. When I mean, 2 things can be truth at the same time, and it's the truth. We have ceded, and I am not. Look, it's easy to hate. It is so easy to hate when that person spit in your face. And by the way, if you spit in my face, I'm gonna slap you back. But I
Well, no one's
understand.
okay.
Yeah, I know. I know they didn't spit in your face. I'm
Right. Okay.
speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking
Right. I
rhetorically.
get you. I get you.
Okay. Now, if somebody hits me, I'm going to hit them back 10 times as hard. I'm not a pushover, but I also am. I believe we have to be. We have to we have to give a landing path, and we have to keep that door open, because to put it bluntly, it is the side, it is what we would like to call the good side, that allow that cancer to grow within. And we have a responsibility, I believe, if we are going to make a change, if we are going to make a change to bridge that divide. I just believe that. But let me get a couple calls, Neil, and then we'll continue, brother. Johnny, come on in.
Haley Joel Osment once told Bruce Willis in a movie that he recognizes he sees dead people. You know what I see? What I recognize a lot is
Tell me, brother.
wordplay. Love wordplay. John Lennon, George Carlin loved wordplay, and Magic Jack, you are fast approaching those guys with your wordplay lately. I like that. And speaking of wordplay, this is a rhetorical question for Neil Aquino, if he can hear me.
Yes, he can.
I thought I heard him describing some people in the upscale cars shouting to him negative stuff. He described them as the more affluent. Did he say affluent or effluent of society?
Affluent, but you're saying effluent.
Sure. Sure.
The more effluent of society. That's a poem in the making, you know. You could write a poem and post it when you go to, what's his face, the used car salesman office every week. Anyway, I got a technical question for Captain Reynolds Wrap, if he's listening, if he's available. I thought about this the other day when I was on the way to the house. I was looking up at the cell phone tower in the neighborhood, and it occurred to me, I see birds flying everywhere, but I have any memory of birds perching on those cell phone towers. So here's my question for Captain Reynolds Wrap. Maybe he knows the question, being that he deals with these things all the time and he talks to his fellow engineers. Is there a problem with birds perching on cell phone towers? Because those things are up in the air to protect us from being radiated, right? And if those transmitters and cell phone towers are up in the air away from humans, what about birds? Aren't they subject to getting radiation doses too? And they're animals that fly in the air all the time. They're way up there. We're way down here. We're protected, so to speak, more or less. But what about birds? How do we know birds aren't getting doses of radiation that's making them sick?
Well, they probably are,
Just
Johnny.
thinking.
I would think that
Just wondering.
I think they would, but I think they also give off
Hello.
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello.
I don't know why he can't hear you. Something wrong with his phone. He lost his connection. Okay. Well, go ahead, Howard.
It must have been a bird on a cell phone tower somewhere. I really don't know the answer to that one. I would guess that those things give off some type of frequency that birds don't like, so they avoid them. I know that they sit on power poles and they sit on power lines and don't seem to be too affected by that. But I've never seen a bird on a cell phone tower, come to think of it. So, Johnny, I don't know the answer to that question, but it's a fun one to ask.
And it's also a fun one to look up. And I have to look that up to see what they say. But anyway, Johnny, wait, is Johnny back on?
I don't know. Are you back on, Johnny?
Well, no, he's not. But let's go to Margaret, and then Johnny can call back. Come on, let's bring Margaret into the discussion. Good morning, Margaret. Is this Margaret from Substack?
Yes.
How you doing, beautiful?
I'm doing well. I just want to implore everybody to go to their local indivisible organizations and join. We need people of all talents or no talents, or to your local Democratic Party to get the message out. As we all know, I would say 75% of the public has no clue of what is going on. So if we can only reach one or two people to explain to them the Medicaid cuts and other ugliness of this bill, they will tell 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. I am part of Indivisible Rural Outreach, and we had our first event in a county that is definitely red. We had 12 people. We had 4 panelists, and getting the message out, one gentleman has a mother that's 3 hours away in a nursing home. He also is on Medicaid, and he knows he's in a red district. The newspaper doesn't want to cover our event, only in the fact that no matter how we come across, they look at us as partisan and the enemy or what have you, but we cannot let up. We have a lot of work to do. So anyone listening, no matter where you are, besides calling your representatives over and over, join an organization that reaches out to inform the uneducated, the not knowing what's going on, that everything's just hunky-dory, and that's my main purpose for calling today.
Margaret, I've heard. Go ahead, Neil.
Margaret, let me ask you. So, Margaret? Were you the listener in Spokane?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, ma'am, and just so people know, so Indivisible, but what Indivisible is. So we've referenced Indivisible's local here today in Katy, Texas, and in Kingwood, which is a neighborhood of Houston. It's people. There's not an influx of there's no resources coming right from a national Indivisible. These are people using the Indivisible name productively and in the spirit of it, but these are volunteers, right? These are folks.
Yes.
And I think that's important for everyone to know on two levels. One, the next action or thing is when you organize it, as Margaret is telling you. And then also, we look at the $1.5 billion that Harris spent and the money that goes to these consultants. And here are people going through rural Washington State or Harris County, Montgomery County here, doing this work, and these are genuine heroes and people who are leading the way, and it needs saying.
That is a perfect description for Margaret. Margaret, you are in fact a hero. Please keep doing it. And the fact that you come on the radio and point out that you've organized and with others what you're doing there, that give the impetus for others to do the same. This is what it's going to take. It's not going to come from the Democratic Party downwards or the Democratic establishment downwards. It's going to come from people with a stake like you, people with interests like you doing the job. So the first thing that I want to say is thank you very much for being who you are and what you're doing.
Well, you're welcome, and I'll continue to listen to your broadcasts, and I just want more people to understand that we, the people, need to get out and inform other people.
You nailed it, Margaret. Thank you so kindly. And folks, be Margaret. Thank you, Margaret. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me get to Donald, and I'm going to have to try to keep things a bit shorter now that the phones are so darn full. Love that the phone is full. Let's go to Brother Donald.
Hey, good morning. Neil, if y'all are dancing around with the Yushkina or the Russian hat and you're calling each other comrades, people have seen Red Scare. They may be a little offended.
Are they? Did I use the word comrade? You know, I've been called so many things. I've been called communist many times. The irony is, my father fought in the Korean War, and he was not. He actually fought communist. People call me communist, and my father actually he was on the left, but it's I always find it a little bit. My father actually fought.
Hey, don't let Donald get to you, man. Donald is messing with you, but you did say comrade.
The word is not the word is not Russian. Okay.
I just think about all the times I've been called communist.
All right, finish up, Donald, real quick.
Okay, recant your statement, Egberto. You said no name Montgomery. We know the map. Up 59 or up 45. Where are you going to put your money at? No name Montgomery. Come on now. Y'all are going up there. There's lakes. There's money everywhere in there.
Yes, you're right.
No, yeah, I know. And Neil, what's your favorite song when you're sad or depressed?
My favorite song always, no matter my mood, is Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division.
Wow.
Awesome. Now find out what Brian and what is it, Tag or one of the other ones' favorite song is, and they cannot use the national anthem, God Bless America, any garbage they're going to throw out. And then you can dig into their psyche and see if they're even happy at all. But that's it. Love
Right.
you guys.
Love
Carry
you,
on with
Donald.
it. Talk to
Take
you
it
later.
easy, brother. All right.
That's
All right.
right.
Let's go to brother Richard. Come on in, Richard.
Speaking of Montgomery County, we're having a big, and I wish I'd have gotten this out before, July 4th celebration for left-leaners on the lake.
We've promoted that. That's my blog
great.
post yesterday, Richard. We're going to let you talk, but we promote that again. So plug it again.
Oh, thank you very much. Blue Montgomery, yeah, $25. That's for parking because I mean you can't get in there without $8.50, I think, for parking anyway. All you can eat, all you can drink, no alcohol. Swimming, we're gonna have barbecue, and hot dogs, and please come out. This organizational skills of mine is lacking, an ADD brain. But all this is unprecedented for all of us trying to fight for our country. But all we can do is all we can do. I mean, don't think that you can't do anything because you don't think you have the skills. All of y'all out there, whatever you can do is great. And don't think you're not doing enough when you think you're doing just a little bit. A little bit is a lot.
Richard, I don't accept that you're organizationally whatever because you're on the line right now, so I don't accept that. But continue, sir.
You don't accept what?
That you are organizationally deprived. I think you're a damn good organizer. You're here.
It's good, Richard. It's good.
Well, I was just going to say when a lot of us do just a little bit, it's going to be a lot.
Exactly.
And thank y'all for all you're doing. And Neil, I wish I'd have been with you 8 years ago, buddy, but I'm trying to catch up.
No, that's okay. I'll say two things. Richard helped organize 50501 in Conroe and Huntsville. He's just like Margaret. He's just like Margaret. And the neighborhood activist Travis McGee, who lives in the Sunnyside neighborhood, he says, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. That's
okay.
Everyone, and so that's just what Richard was saying.
Hey, all lines are busy. Hey, Richard, exactly what Neil says. Thank you, Richard. I got to go. I got to bring other folks into the discussion. Let's go to Patrick. And folks, please hold it to a short amount of time now because all lines are full. Thank you guys for being here. Patrick, come on in. Are you there, Patrick? All right. Patrick. Okay, let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning. Change what I was going to say to something quick because your time's short. Someone can call me comrade if they want, but I'm not going to call them Earl or Lord or Prince, even though we have a damn king.
Right.
And the other thing is, rhetorically speaking, of course, if someone spits in my face, they'll be visiting a periodontist or an oral surgeon. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Bruce. And that, look, again, we are nice to everybody, but everybody must respect one space. All right, Patrick, call back. I know you probably have something very interesting to say. John, come on in. Let's try to keep it short, my dear brothers and sisters. John, come on in.
I just wanted to say that everybody that's listening to this program and interacting with you and your guest is actually doing something. Just, informing yourself is doing something. And I recommend this, and I'll keep it very short. Everybody watch The Apprentice, which is not the show, the TV show, but the one that was done in Europe, Danish, Iranian director. I don't remember his name, but it really nails it in terms of what Donald Trump was like, Roy Cohn, all of the people that used to attend the club in New York City. These people are just absolutely pathetic, and they feed on hate. It's right out of the playbook of the Nazis. their will to power. They don't care if they have to walk over even their own mother and father with their golf club, cleats. It's just that's what these MAGA people voted for. I mean, I don't think that anyone really understands the moral, just absolute, they're just pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And that's all I have to say.
You're talking about the one by Ali Abbasi, the Apprentice, just came out last year.
Yep, and it was amazing. They tried to keep it out of the country. So we're also talking about people not being able to express things that people needed to hear about Donald Trump. And unfortunately, it was able to, in limited places, be seen on the big screen. But you can stream it online. It's
I just found it. That's the reason because when you mentioned it, I didn't know it was actually The Apprentice about Donald Trump. It looks like it's a movie to be seen. I'm looking at some of the previews that right now. So thank you for highlighting that, John.
I think that a lot of people didn't understand. They thought that it was the regular, it was his show, but no, it was a biop on Donald Trump and the making of him, and it just moved me so much in terms of how awful Donald, Fred, and Roy Cohn and some of these people were to each other and to his first wife, Ivanka. I mean, it was just, it's amazing. And yet, this person became president. It just flies it's like gaslighting me.
Well, I mean, John, I want to interrupt you because I got to go, but I want to say one thing because you said how this guy became president. If you take a look at what's going to happen to the stock market today, if you take a look at what people that we would think would be smart, we are about to do damage to a large percentage of our people. And the economy, the stock part of our economy is going to do fine. Donald Trump is the instantiation of what our economic system represents. I don't want to go into detail on that right now, but he's the instantiation of what our economic system represents, and that's why somebody so deficient can be so successful. But John, let's continue this another day. I got to go to Johnny and Brian. Go ahead, real quick.
I just wanted to say that, it's going to go up, but that's not the indication of the health of this country and its true economy. It's going to slide down to probably a 1929 event. That's what I predict. Anyway,
you're right, but we'll talk about that. We have a lot of time to talk about all those things. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, finish up real quick. I know you got dropped.
Yeah, while I was seated in the sleep lab office waiting on family member, across from me in the room there was a mother and her teenage daughter. They were seated together waiting on their grandmother, and each of them were staring constantly, nonstop, into their own smartphones. But yet you could tell there was love between them. But they did not take their eyes off of their individual smartphones the entire time they were in that waiting room until Grandma came out. And so I thought to myself, I wonder how informed either of these people are when I think about Arnie Arneson's discussion this morning with regards to the transparency of the evil Trump and MAGA have when they say there will be there can be no regulation written or created to address AI for the first 10 years. Mm-hmm. That is so transparent to me and you, but not to them maybe. That's why we have a new poem, The Effluent of Society. So there's that.
Thank you, Johnny. You have Johnny.
Right there.
Got to go, brother. Thank you, my brother. Let's go to Brian. Brian, close her out for me.
Yeah. AC/DC, it's a long way to the top. If that answers your question. Why is it so apparent that you hate opposition? You want someone to oppose the government, but you won't allow someone to come on and oppose what you're saying. You get people call in and say, I've read 300 pages of medical documents, and you actually say, no, you're wrong. They're in the medical field. and you're saying, no, you're wrong. You're not reading it right. What you're saying is, believe me and only me, because I know. I don't understand your hypocrisy. You talk about opposition, but you don't allow opposition on your program. Continue.
Nonsense, nonsense, Brian. That's just nonsense. We allow we allow you on the program, and you're opposing us. So what is your deal?
Yes, I oppose you all the time.
Yes,
Hey,
that's right.
hey,
What is your
I don't
deal,
like
man?
you.
You're telling us you're not allowing opposition, but yet we allow you on the program. So there, you're wrong right there. So what
No,
is the
I'm
deal?
not.
Yes, you are.
No, Egberto, I don't like you. Okay, that's a fact.
We don't care.
You hate the president. You hate the president with a passion. I don't like you. You're
We
an
don't care.
immigrant.
Then don't call. If you don't like it, if you don't, then don't call and don't listen.
I'm going to change. I'm going to change you.
No, you're not. You are absolutely not going to change our minds, and we're not going to change yours. So
That's
what is your
right.
point? What is your point in calling
The point
here?
is, where is the opposition? When you constantly tell someone,
It's
no,
right
you're wrong,
on the other end
you
of this
call
line.
someone a liar?
It's right on the
Hey,
other
brother,
end of
you
this
call-
line. The opposition
you
is
call
right here,
someone a
Brian.
liar?
You call us a liar all the time.
No, I do not.
Yes,
I have
you
never called
do.
you a liar.
Oh, for
I have
heaven's
never
sakes.
called you a liar.
I can go back
Let me-
to tapes, recordings, and you pick and choose. In
Look.
almost every call, you call us a liar.
You know, I mean,
So
I
what-
think I think if I may enter, let me just say this, right?
Oh yeah, it's
I-
still,
I-
I'm sorry.
No. You're doing right, brother. I appreciate you. And no, this is our show. All of us. This is your show, Jack's show, Neil's show, our show. Anyhow, and the people's who call show, and Brian's show as well. Brian, I understand that most of what goes on is you don't like me, and that is okay. It really is okay. You know, I like you though. You may not like me, but I actually like you. I actually like you because that I am trying to solve problems. But anyhow, right now I'm getting called up. So close her out for me, please, Neil. Tell us a little bit about. Close her out, Neil.
Great. Great to be here every Thursday. Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. And please follow wherever you are, Spokane here, follow your local politics, and be an active participant in your local politics.
Jack and Howard, close out for me.
Oh, that's about all I got. Jack, anything? Jack says nothing.
All right,
Take
folks.
it home,
Don't.
Roberto.
The rest of the program is at politicsandright.com/newsletter. Politicsandright.com/newsletter. You can write me directly at kpft@politicsandright.com. My name is Egberto Willis. Love you all. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Your government, buy-in for the people. ProPublica is reporting an alleged $80,000 disclosure omission by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in her federal executive branch disclosure form, an ethics violation. Noem appears to have received a 2023 commission for fundraising for a dark money nonprofit group. ProPublica reporters reviewed 2023 documents suggesting a company Noem registered in Delaware, Ashwood Strategies LLC, took an apparent commission payment of $80,000 for raising money for the American Resolve Policy Fund, a 501c3 nonprofit. Noem did not report the payment on her Executive Branch Personnel Public Financial Disclosure Report filed late last year. Reporting found American Resolve was registered within minutes of the registration of Ashwood Strategies. On paper, American Resolve is registered and managed by a Virginia company, Sage Advisory Group. ProPublica also reports that American Resolve Policy Fund in turn formed America Resolve PAC, supporting Noem in its advertising. In a press statement, Noem's lawyer claims she did not, quote, establish, finance, maintain, or control American Resolve Policy Fund. She was simply a vendor for a nonprofit entity, unquote. She was also serving as governor at the time. We've linked to Noem's federal disclosure form, the ProPublica report, and more at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.